Thanks, everyone. Tough act to follow, hot chili, but one of the good things is that we're not that far from them at one of our projects, albeit on the other side of the Chilean-Argentinian border. This is all a bit new for me. I've only been in the hot seat for about 4 or 5 weeks, so I apologise in advance if I get anything wrong, including the name of the company, which is actually Belararox, not Belararox. Standard disclaimer. You guys see a lot of these things, and there's been a lot. We're halfway through the conference. There's a lot more to come. You don't remember all of it, but what I'd like you to remember from this presentation is 3 things. First thing is the location of our projects. So we are in Tier 1 jurisdictions, and a lot of people use the terminology, but the key for us is who we're surrounded by. So in Argentina, we've got the Filo de Sol project to the north, which is BHP in London. We've got Barrick all around the southwest of us. And we have Atex Resources, who are a $1.2 billion company listed on the TSXV immediately to the west of us. So location, location, location. In Botswana, we're immediately along strike geologically from MMG's Khoemacau hub, which in turn is a long strike from Sandfire's Mathayo. So we've got all the big guys quite close to us. Wrong way, there we go. One of the other things is news flow. Given our Argentinian field season is restricted due to weather, because we are at altitude from about mid-September to around now, we can flip across the Atlantic into Botswana, continue working full steam ahead. So we have a cycle of 12-month news flow right the way through the year, and that's a real benefit for us. And we're a copper company. Copper's a great space to be in at the moment. Yes, we've got an epithermal silver discovery on our hands as well at the TMT project in Argentina, but fundamentally we want to find a big copper discovery. Okay, a little bit about both projects. So TMT on the left in Argentina, about 350 square kilometres. We've recently been drilling at Toro Central. We just wrapped that up a week or so ago. 47 metres at 172 grams a tonne silver with a bit of gold, bit of copper, bit of zinc in there. That's around about a 3% copper equivalent intersection. Within that, there's a high-grade zone that runs 27 metres at about 300 grams a tonne silver. Bit of copper, bit of gold. It's around a 7% copper equivalent. So a really good start at Toro Central for us. We'll talk about it in a slide shortly, but we do have a lot of assays still to come in. We are frustrated by the labs and the time it's taking us to get those, and we know shareholders are expecting them to come in. The geology is complex, and once we get all those assays, we'll be able to put together the story and tell everyone about it in more detail. Jumping across the Atlantic into Botswana, as I said, we're at the northern end of the Kalahari Copper Belt. We've got about 4,000 square kilometres there. A lot of it is unexplored, our ground, and we're pretty excited to go in there. We've recently finished a big airborne EM survey, over 1,000 square kilometres on that. We've rebuilt the team from scratch, and we're about to drill. We'll probably start drilling, I'd say, the last week of June, maybe the first week of July, but it's imminent. Bit on the corporate, so the board's well set up, lots of experience there with Neil Warburton, Chris Gale, and myself running things, but really one of the jewels for us is Chris Blazer, 10 years BHP, really clever guy, adds us a lot of value. Come and talk to him at the booth, 97, if you want to know a bit more about our projects. Recently, yesterday, in fact, we announced that we just raised another $4 million, and I mean, it's great for a junior to raise money, but for us in this case, it's where it came from. It came from 3 strategics. Jose Luis Manzano, who's a big resource investor in Argentina, he's been engaged with Chris Gale over a period of time about what we're doing, and he's decided to come in. He's brought his family office in as well, separately, and also another guy, Magnus Capital, who are out of Switzerland, often co-invests with Jose Luis, and it's a real sign of, I guess, confidence that we're going about things the right way in Argentina and also in Botswana. So TMT project in Argentina, this is sort of, I guess it's slightly to the northeast of Hot Chili, but over the peak of the Andes. We're at 3,300 metres. Not impossible, but yes, it's a challenge with some of the weather, especially as you move into winter. Our camp is well set up. We can host about 55 to 60 people there. We can run multiple rigs at the same time when we're drilling, so we are in a good spot. Speaking of being surrounded by majors, this sort of tells you all you need to know here. We're in the blue. I don't have a pointer, sorry, but you can see to the north of us is the Vicuña district where BHP and Lundin have an enormous project, 38 million tonnes of copper metal, 81 million ounces of gold. It's probably the best discovery globally in the last 30 years. We're south we still consider that we're in the Vicuña district to the south of those guys. Magotes Metals, 250 million market cap between BHP and us. To the west of us, we have Atex Resources, as I mentioned. They've got 8 million tonnes of copper and 10 million ounces of gold. And then around to the southwest of us is Barrick. Pascua-Lama, 20 million ounces, and Veladero is 11 million ounces. We actually use the Barrick access road as part of our way into TMT. So there's lots of big guys happening. They're all looking over the fence. They like what we're doing. Zooming into the southern part of our project at Toro Central. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that red oval-shaped outline. That's a surface geochem anomaly that goes up to about 1,500 ppm silver. As we go to the northern end of the day site, the grades get higher. Our hole 2 that we've released is in about the midpoint of that oval shape, and as I said, 47 metres, 172 grams a tonne silver, and bits and pieces of others. On the left, you can see the section. It is on the side of the hill. We've drilled another hole from that same drill pad back the other way to test the continuity. It's geologically challenging for the guys in the field. It's not an obvious, this is where your high grade is, this is where your low grade is. There's dense areas of epithermal veining full of sulfides, galena sphalerite, the silvers, in that system. And then as we go out of this sort of structural complexity, you see some zones that are less deformed, less veining. So, we will wait to get the assays back from holes 3, 4, 5 and 6. As I said, we know that they're imminent, and once we get them, we'll be able to talk about that a bit more. But it's a big system, it's a complex system. Where we sit in terms of that epithermal porphyry vertical system, we're still unravelling that and getting all of these assays and the whole rock geochem and all of the rest of the geophysics and putting that together will help unlock value for the next field season. So that's Toro. Jumping about 20 k's to the north, we have our Tambo South prospect, where last year, 15 months ago, we drilled a couple of holes. Both of those intersected over 400 metres at 0.1% copper. So it's not an economic discovery, but it suggests that there's metal in the system. And these porphyries and these intrusions can be quite asymmetric. So where we were on the western side of that intrusive, you can see the chargeability anomaly. We extended the geophysics to the east this season. Those results are in, and we've got a blown out chargeability anomaly out to the east. It's 3 kilometres across that coloured image. So we've got a lot of room to drill this intrusion target, this porphyry target. We have a conductive tongue coming in on the eastern side, potentially some kind of fluid pathway over there. So first thing we're going to do when we go back into TMT in September, October, is we're going to put a hole in from the eastern flank of Tambo South and see whether we've got a bit higher grade porphyry copper zone there. But 400 metres at 0.1, absolutely not economic, but a very good indicator that there's metal in the system. So that's it for TMT. I'm going to jump across the Atlantic into the Kalahari, and there's only a couple of slides on this. Full reset at the Kalahari. Where we sit, we're everything in yellow on that geology tenement plan. So we're at the northern end, the northeastern extension of the Matheo hub, the Comacao hub, where MMG are currently producing about 65,000 tonnes of copper a year. They have just agreed to develop that or increase the development there. They're investing $1 billion, and they're going to grow that to 130,000 tonnes of copper metal a year. We have a 50 kilometre by 30 kilometre tenement immediately north of those guys. This is it zoomed in, and the important thing I want you to notice from this is on the right-hand side of the screen, there's the dashed blue tram lines that run through that tenement. That is the interpreted position of the Nuacapan-Dakar contact, which is the key contact stratigraphically that you need to have in order to have copper mineralisation. Everywhere in the belt, the copper mineralisation sits on that contact. It's folded and deformed, and then there's an erosional surface. The interpretation of those tram lines gives us around 180 line kilometres of prospective contact in that tenement. 50 kilometres wide, 30 kilometres of strike. And we've just finished our airborne EM survey there. We're going to go in, look at that data, identify our drilling targets, and we'll go in and we'll start drilling in late June, early July. So that's that timeline. The good thing about this is it's 12 months of work. We finished drilling in Argentina around the start of May. We hit the ground running in Botswana. Once we get to the end of our Botswana drilling program in September, unless we find something, we keep going obviously, but in September then we pivot back across the Atlantic into Argentina, and our team there will have everything lined up on the ground for us, ready to go. 3 take-home messages is all you need to remember. Location, where we are, who we're surrounded by. Number 2, 12 months of news flow. Argentina, pivot into Botswana, back to Argentina. We'll have a cycle right through the year. And lastly, We're a copper company. Yes, we have a silver sugar hit, but we fundamentally are looking for a large-scale copper deposit. Thank you very much for listening.